you clicked on this video, you probably got a power steering gearbox. Looks a little something like this. Yeah, let's just dive right into how to get these seals put into Pitman shaft on a power steering gearbox. We'll save the Ford jokes for later, you know, growling like a Ford on a cold morning from the 80s. Maybe you guys aren't familiar with that, but Fords used to make a lot of power steering pump noise. The thing we gotta do is get her up in the air so we can get underneath there. Let's jack this thing up. Careful now, I ain't got no brakes. It's safer that way. This seems okay. I gotta say, my local Napa hooked me up. I walked in there and I picked up my seals for the steering gearbox, and I said something to the guy across the counter like, yeah, I got a Pitman arm puller, but I don't know where I put it. I put it up somewhere so I wouldn't lose it. It'll probably take me longer to find it than it will to do this job. And he says, why don't you take ours? And I said, sure. And not only did he bring me a Pitman arm puller, he brought me these pickle forks. So this is gonna be easy. All we gotta do is get under here and zip this thing apart. So keep that in mind if you ain't got every tool in the world, or you got a tool for the job you need. Sometimes your Napa will loan you stuff. So here we are, staring the gearbox and Pitman arm in the face. And I noticed this should have a cotter key, and there's no cotter key in there. So I suspect this has been apart and somebody sent this home with the impact, and this is just absolutely wedged to the point that we'll probably fight with it all day, let alone this big nut and this. And I don't know, that Pitman arm puller they loaned me, I guess it's gonna fit. So step one, this. Well, now all we gotta do is get the old pickle fork in here and give this a few smart blows. And when things work the way they're supposed to, they come apart pretty easy. Oh, look at that. I'm thoroughly amazed. They don't always come apart that easy. Now, I'm thinking we should be able to pry this down out of the way just enough to get in there, get the Pitman arm off. At least I hope that's how it goes. Oh, come on, get out of there. Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to get a bit of something a little different to pry with, but we can go ahead and knock this nut off. Can you see that nut? Yeah, you can more or less see that. There's that. Now you get in here with the old Pitman arm puller, and maybe between pulling the Pitman arm loose and you know, pulling this off, we'll get enough slack to maybe we can just tip her out without prying the drag link off of there. Now, if you're a little worried about getting all this put together right, I've not ever seen one of these that didn't have a wide spline to line it back up, but I have seen some that had 4 splines, and if you really got cockeyed, you could put it together wrong. But if you're worried mark it. Well, I ran out of threads on the puller, but it come loose, so we're in good shape. Now, if this thing could just let go even a little bit. Yeah, it looks like it's bigger pry bar time. So after you get your Pitman arm off and you're looking at your Pitman shaft, there's going to be a couple things. Some of you are going to look up in there and there's going to be no snap ring or nothing. Just a thing that feels rubbery and weird. So if you got the snap ring, take the snap ring out and then fill your reservoir and turn the steering wheel all the way hard to the stop, and most of the seals should just blow right out of there. We're not that fortunate on this one. We got the hard rubber seal and then a snap ring and then a washer and then another seal. So we're gonna have to try and screw a screw or two up in there on each side and work it by pulling on those screws. Hopefully the darn thing don't give us too much trouble. Well, this is what we got. I just jammed a couple screws up there in that seal and I'm pulling on them with the plier and screwing them, and that seal's walking out. Seal wiper apparatus number 1. Now we got to get in there and get that snap ring out, and then we'll do like I said, we'll fire it up and hopefully the seals blow out of there easy. Snap ring and washer. Now we're just gonna, I think instead of making a mess, I'm just gonna screw the screws into that seal, see if it'll work out too. So screwing a screw into the inner seal after you got the snap ring out, that did get it right out. Just screwed into it a ways. I yanked on it with the plier, the screw that was sticking out, and it popped right out. So, all right, now we'll put the new seal in. On mine, this oddball looking thing is the inside one. You want to put the garter spring or the lip sealy part up because we want to keep the oil in. If we put it this way, we let the oil out. So, and it does take a little force to get these in. Not a lot, but I found a piece of just galvanized water pipe. I don't know what size it is, and it'll be different for different steering gearboxes, I'm sure, but it fits the inside and the outside, so we can use this for a seal driver. Hopefully not damage the seal. I just cut the end off as square as I could. I'm just going to set the new seal on here. And I'm just gonna go kind of gentle to start with here. Make sure it gets started straight. I might not even have to hammer on it. Look in there, see if I can see the snap ring groove. I can't, so I'm gonna have to give her a tap or two. Try to stay straight. Felt like something stopped. And I can see a snap ring groove, and there's room to put the washer in. So, new washer, and the new washer come with the kit, so it's not like we got to worry about that. Get the washer up in here. Hopefully it stays. Get the new snap ring loaded on the snap ring pliers. Squeeze the new snap ring together. Up in there it goes. Well, it looks like it all seated. Now, this is, a lot of people will call this a, where are you? A lot of people call this a seal too, but I don't know. It's kind of like more of a wiper, but it just goes in there and the friction fit of it all holds it in, evidently. Guess we'll just give it a little. I think it's seated. Now, throw the old Pitman arm back on. Yep. It's gonna fight me. Where's that? Oh yeah, the Pitman arm's gonna fight me, but the splines are lined up. So we can start the nut and the lock washer, maybe. Then hopefully I can pry around on things and get the drag link back in there where it goes. Maybe. Boy, she's fighty. That's not lined up at all. Maybe we'll take this loose, the outer tie rod. We got the same deal going on there. No cotter key. There's supposed to be a cotter key. So, guess for now, we'll just go ahead and send this nut home. And then we'll worry about lining the other end of the Pitman arm up. Oh no, lost my socket. Oh, there it is. Now, of course, you want to get the book out and torque these to spec, which is what I'll do. I'm just running it up with the impact to get it close. Yeah, pretty close. I don't know if I could pry around on this a little bit. I just don't want to go back. Closer. I don't know. I think I'm going to lift the front end up with the jack, and by jack I mean forklift, and I think that'll let the A-arms dangle and we'll get some slack here. You watch and see. Maybe some. Maybe none. I was expecting them control arms to do a little more. They just don't want to help out. Oh, maybe with 2 pry bars. Well, what it took to get it hooked back up was I got in here with the pickle fork, got the pickle fork around the stud and pried real hard. Just popped back on there. So the nuts are both on, torqued to spec. Now we can fill the reservoir back up and see how bad it's going to leak. So it's time to fill the reservoir up. For those of you that aren't familiar with a Cummins and a Dodge, it's quite a little task to get to that power steering reservoir. It's down there. You can either go through there where your arm barely fits, or you can go through here where your arm's barely not long enough. We all like to say, oh, I don't know what they were thinking when they made that way, but I'll guarantee you they knew what they were thinking when they made this that way. Well, I got the reservoir full. It's kind of close to the ground now. This is about all the room I got to set the camera. I'm going to start the engine and turn the steering wheel both ways, all the way, to get the air out of the system. I guess if you see her blasting oil everywhere, holler. stop, holding it there to see if it leaks. Back to the left. Holding it hard there to see if it leaks. Back to the center-ish. Well, I guess that's that. I'm not even going to crawl under there and look. I'm not even going to try and look at the camera and see if it's leaking or not. I'm going to go up and down the road with it because I need to use the pickup. So I'm going to go up and down the road. I'm just going to hope it stays full because it's been an ordeal with that pickup. It's got the Hydro Boost on it, so it's got a high pressure line from the pump to the Hydro Boost, and then a high pressure line from the pump, from the Hydro Boost to the steering gear box. So there's two high pressure lines. We replaced one, and wouldn't you know it, we get about a day out of it, and then the other one starts leaking. So, you know, we struggled with that for a while because it wasn't leaking very bad. It was livable. We could ignore it. And then it got to where we couldn't ignore. Every 2 seconds it was out. So that's when the seal on the Pitman shaft started leaking. So we didn't know the seal on the Pitman shaft was leaking yet. So we just put the hose on it and off we go again. We thought, nope, Pitman shaft seal. So that's that.